हमारी ज़ेरे बयां फोक दास्तानें हीर, रांझा, सस्सी पुनू, सोनी माहीवाल और मिर्ज़ा साहिबा, जिनको पंजाबी के शायरों ने अपनी शायरी से एक शाहकार बना दिया है, वो शायर वारिस शाह हो, फजल शाह सैयद हो या हाफिज़ बरखुदा रांझा, इन सब ने ही अपनी शायरी में उनके प्यार को खालिस खुदा का रूप करार दिया है, जो हर मताओ हवस से पाक है। हमारे तालिब इल्मों ने इन दास्तानों को एक पराए में समो दिया है, तो आइए देखते हैं आज की खूबसूरत तरीन मिमिक्री।
Waris Shah composed Qissa Heer Ranjha in classic Benth meter during 18th century. At least 10 Persian versions of the story of Heer Ranjha were written in the form of Masnavi before 1800, and dozens were written before the end of the 19th century. But Waris Shah penned it down the way that it came to be known as Heer Waris Shah. Through this epic poem, Punjabi language entered every heart and hearth of Punjab. Waris Shah not only renders the authentic details about the culture and traditions of Punjab, the range of emotions and feelings, the hypocrisy of society, the evil of the caste system, and the follies of men and women, but most importantly, a strong projection of a woman in this patriarchal society. Falling in love with the beautiful Heer of Sials, Ranjha left his princely status and became servant to Heer's father. The subjugation of a man to a woman was never accepted by the male-dominating society. Heer felt honored. She got mesmerized by the flute played by Ranjha. Heer's uncle Kaido was a symbol of ruthless social norms, always against the love of the two. Heer's denial of surrender against the forceful authority of men is generally taken as a rebellion. As a result, Qissa Heer Ranjha is always undermined as merely a romantic story. Critics interpret Heer Waris Shah in many perspectives, romantic being the topmost, through a Marxist point of view, as well as the Freudian angle. But according to Sufi tradition, it is considered spiritual in its context, the quest of man towards God. Heer appears a heroic figure when rose against the assertions of her mother on killing of daughters, denouncing it a great sin. Kaido poisoned Heer at the day of her marriage with Ranjha, knowing which Ranjha also died beside Heer. It is believed that the inspiration behind the Qissa was the saga of Romeo and Juliet. It is also a surprising fact that more than 11,000 verses of other poets have blended in the perpetual harmony of the poem that they seem now a part of Heer Waris Shah. Heer and Ranjha are buried in Heer's hometown, Jhang. The core of the Punjabi folklores lie in the spiritual love that springs from the worldly love. Another folk tale dates back to the late Mughal period in the subcontinent. Soni Mahiwal. Fazal Shah Sayyid acquires a high podium in narrating the Qissa in Punjabi. It entered the Persian tradition only after it had become popular in Punjabi language. The beautiful girl Soni, unhappily married to another man, would swim every night across the river Chenab on an earthen pot to see her beloved Mahiwal.
ਸੁਣ ਮਸਤ ਅਲੜ ਮੁਟਿਆਰੇ ਨੀ ਇਸ ਇਸ਼ਕ ਦੇ ਉਲਟੇ ਕਾਰੇ ਨੀ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਅਜ਼ਲ ਆਵਾਜ਼ਾਂ ਮਾਰੇ ਨੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਆਸ ਨਾ ਡੂੰਗੇ ਸਰਦੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਾਰ ਲੰਘਾ ਦੇਵੇ ਕੜਿਆ ਮਿੰਨਤਾਂ ਤੇਰੀਆਂ ਕਰਦੀ ਓਏ
Mahiwal. He was given the name on taking up the job of a buffalo herder at Soni's place. He was a rich trader, Izzat Beg, from Bukhara, present Uzbekistan. From Chenab down to Sindh, the story flows with its warmth and purity. Shah Abdul Latif Bhai presents the tale in his compendium Shahjo Risalo. One night when the pot was replaced with a vessel of unbaked clay, Soni, though she was aware of it, could not keep Mahiwal waiting in disappointment. She pleaded the pot to take her across.
ਮੈਂ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਮਰ ਜਾਵੇ ਗੱਲ ਯਾਰ ਦੇ ਜ਼ਮੇ ਕਰ ਜਾਵੇ ਅੱਜ ਇਸ਼ਕ ਦੀ ਬੇੜੀ ਚੜ ਜਾਵੇ ਮੇਰੀ ਪੂਰੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਏ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਾਰ ਲੰਘਾ ਦੇਵੇ ਕੜਿਆ ਮਿੰਨਤਾਂ ਤੇਰੀਆਂ ਕਰਦੀ
It was not a rebellion. It was the rejection of the force authority in the name of social norms. As the fate would have it, the pot dissolved in water and she died in the whirling waves of Chenab. Mahiwal, not knowing how to swim, jumped into the river to save Soni and drowned as well. Thus the lovers were united in death. The tale reflects the unwavering faith and devotion. At the same time, the cruelty and relentless human behavior is the underlying theme. The tale of Soni Mahiwal is equally favorite both in Sindh and Punjab. It is said that their bodies were recovered from river Indus near Sindh, where the shrine is still located. The tale is considered an inspiration of Hero and Leander from Greek mythology.
ਦਿਨ ਚੜ੍ਹਨੇ ਤੇ ਆ ਗਿਆ ਇਹਨੇ ਬੋਲਣ ਚਿੜੀਆਂ ਕਾਂ ਜੱਟ ਘੋੜੀਆਂ ਲੈ ਪਈ ਓ ਵੇਖ ਕੇ ਸੁਥਰਾ ਥਾਂ
The form in which many of the qissas were written in Persian was Masnavi, while in Punjab they were written in Doha, later replaced by Doda, whose greater length was better able to accommodate expanded patterns ending in rhyming Radif Kafiya. The folk tale Mirza Sahiba is about the devotion of a woman towards her blood relations with the same intensity as she feels for the love of her heart, Mirza. Paradoxically, she failed to secure both. Mirza was a skillful archer. Every arrow he shot would hit exactly where he wanted. Ironically, he failed to save his own life when the skill was needed. The legend of Mirza Sahiba was penned by Punjabi Sufi poet Hafiz Barkhurdar in the 17th century. Throughout the poem, Sahiba seems more conscious for her family. Love of Mirza does not manage to overweigh her affection for her father and brothers, whom she called with most effective of female terms, Babal and Veer.
ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸਭੇ ਪੀੜਾਂ ਨੇ ਮੰਦੀਆਂ ਇੱਕ ਬੁਰੀ ਪਾਈਆਂ ਦੀ ਪੀੜ ਪੁੱਤਰ ਮੋਏ ਨਹੀਂ ਭੁੱਲਦੇ ਆਲਮਾ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਮਰਨ ਫਕੀਰ
She was a figure of the conflicting loyalties of a Punjabi woman caught between her own feelings and her familial roles. Mirza, as determined he was, he succeeded in taking Sahiba along with him. Nature embraces its broods always against the human indifference, social injustice, and taboos. One such tale dates back to 12th century AD, the oldest of all folk tales.
सस्सी पुन्नू दो जने कोई मुख ते जर्द रुमाल वे हाय वे पुन्नू जालमा दिलां दिया मेहरमा सुत्ती नू छड़ के न जाना ही ओए
Hashim Shah relates the tale of Sassi Punnu in Punjabi mystic poetry. Sassi was a daughter of the Raja of Bhambor in Sindh. Believing her a curse for the family, the Raja ordered the child to be thrown in Sindhu. A washerman of the Bhambor village found the child and took it up as a blessing. When Sassi became a young girl, she was as beautiful as the fairies of the heaven. The handsome young prince Punnu, when saw her, could not resist his passion and fell for her. He proved his love for Sassi by washing clothes in her town. Sassi's father, after all, agreed to the marriage. In seeking submission to a woman, the hero overturns society's conventional gender paradigms. In actively seeking to choose her own fate, the heroine also challenges the rights of older and powerful men, and here the real threat to the honor lies. On the night of their wedding, Sassi's brother carried Punnu on a camel's back and took him to their hometown of Kech. When Sassi got up, she realized that she was cheated. Mad with grief, she ran barefoot towards the town of Kech Makran.
तेरे पुन्नू नू ले गए चोर नी ससिए बेखबरे तेरा लुट आई शहर बंबोर तेरा लुट आई शहर बंबोर
Crossing miles of desert alone, her feet got blistered and lips parched. On the way, she was attacked on her honor by a shepherd. Sassi ran away and prayed to God to hide her. The land shook and split and veiled her forever. When Punnu woke up in Makran, he could not stop himself. Running back to Bhambor, reached the same spot in the desert. Punnu lamented for the lost Sassi. The land shook and split again, and Punnu got buried at the same place. The legendary grave still exists in mountain valley of Balochistan, near Pab Range. Shah Abdul Latif Bhitai sings the historic tale in his Sufi poetry as an example of pure love and eternal union with divine. One of the repeated themes in these folk tales is the desire to know if events narrated in the qissas actually happened. True or not, they still relate to our society. Heroes and heroines of these qissas belong to the aristocratic class, yet they were extremely down to earth. They seem heavenly beings who hate the life of mean realities of the world. It is also noticeable that there are no real villains in the tale who can be conveniently blamed for the catastrophe that overtakes the lovers.